Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer here. Today I'm looking at Out of the Park Baseball 14. It's a game I've been playing for a while, a game I'm kind of addicted to, and it's definitely something that I wanted to go ahead and check out here. Alright, sorry about that, my screen was dark for a moment here. Now Out of the Park Baseball 14 is a baseball simulation game that any baseball fan probably, if they haven't heard about, should. It's kind of like a armchair GM or armchair manager's dream, if you will. I did a video on Out of the Park Baseball 13, and I also did some videos of, I believe it was 11, where I looked at the Moneyball season throughout that game. And what I'm going to be doing here today, largely in honor of, well, I don't know if honor is the right word, but essentially Jackie Robinson, the movie 42, is about to come out, probably because the All-Star Game is about to happen. They've timed that well, and I decided let's do a historical replay of that season, of the 1947 of the 1947 season, Jackie Robinson's rookie year, his Rookie of the Year, and let's use Out of the Park Baseball 14, because I've been meaning to get a review done, and I'm still working on a review. To be honest, this is one of those games that I work through, and I put a lot of work into it, but to be honest, it's such a difficult game to give a fair appraisal of, because I love it so much. And I'm sure, you know, people, the developers would love for me just to make a review about how great it is, but I do try and put a few negative things, but to be honest, I love the Out of the Park Baseball series so much, it's hard for me really to say anything negative about it at all. But anyway, that's enough of me yapping. Without further ado, let's jump in here. Now, Out of the Park Baseball has three options really how to play. You can play the historical, or this year's Major League season that comes out every year with rosters and teams and all of that. You can play a custom league where you create your own league, own rules, own teams, things like that. And then you can do historical games. In addition to all of that, you can play all three of those game modes online. They also have an add-on mode which is built into the game, which I'll show you here real quick, which I really find fascinating. You can download all sorts of mods through this add-on central. The game does not come with historical players. Well, it comes with historical players, but it doesn't come with historical uniforms and team license logos and all of that because of licensing requirements. But they can use team names because they're considered part of the public domain since they show up in newspapers. But here you can see you can download all sorts of mods that fans make, including, NCAA uniforms. You can download the real MLB uniforms, real MLB rosters, photos, things like that, and it's all available for download through the game, although it's not sponsored by the game, hence how they kind of get around the legal loopholes, if you will, of not having a license with the MLB for all of this. But anyway, we're going to jump into the historical game version of this. So we're going to select our season here, the early years, basically pre-modern era. You can go all the way back to 1871, anywhere between 1871 and 1900, before the World Series even existed. You can play through the dead ball era of 1901 to 1920. And then baseball's rebirth, the 20s through the 40s. And then the golden years, if you will. Not quite sure what classifies the golden years. Maybe just because from 46 to 60 a lot of the game's classic players were there, or maybe, I don't know, I'm not really sure. You see here they've got the juiced years from 94 to 2004. Major League Baseball's trying to combat the juice years too, from 2013 on, or 2012 or 11 or whatever that is on. I've got a pretty strong opinion about the way that Major League Baseball is going about it, but I'll avoid that here. So this season that we want to do falls under the golden years of 46 to 1960. We're going to do 47 because that was Jackie Robinson's rookie year. We're going to... You've got a whole bunch of options in here for a historical replay of a season. But what we're going to do is we're going to import the complete history up to 1947. We're not going to use random players from all eras. We're going to use just the historical players. There's a list of more options in here if we want those. So basically we can use real stats, base ratings on how many years they have left in their career, and basically kind of choose how we want to base our ratings on. And whoops, kind of jumped out of that. Let's go back to the start screen and start this over here. But we're going back to the historical game. Like I said, we're going to be focusing on the golden years, so starting in 1947. I'm not going to go through those advanced options again. We are going to import the complete history up to 47. We're going to optimize player ratings for a single season replay. I want to make this season as historically accurate as possible. This game is a phenomenal game to play through and get a lot of random variation and things like that. But with that said, I don't really want to set it up for a long replay. I mean, if I was going to be doing career play, I'd probably want to look at doing a long series. So I played in an online league where we started in 1970 and worked our way toward the modern era, and in that case you'd want the career play set up. But in this case we're not going to do that. Every season has a nice little recap or historical summary of what happened that year, including this one, the big deal, Branch Rickey bringing on Jackie Robinson. But let's move on to step number 2. So it's loading the database. Okay, we're just waiting on this here. It is going to take a little bit longer to load because I did want to import the entire history of the league. But we should be through this in a second. Just still loading here. Sorry about the wait. I could have had this loaded up beforehand, but I did want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a look at this. Just of the setup, that is. Alright. I guess you can focus on a region. This is something new. I don't really care about that. Up top here is still some of my league play. We'll just add MLB maybe. Okay, this is where you can kind of set up and customize teams, change cities, change team nicknames. We're going to be playing as the Brooklyn Dodgers, but this is basically where you can create your league or edit it or change it from what it was historically. We're not going to touch that, so we're just going to go on here. We want to use the historical transactions that really happened. We could, allow all these minor league systems and play a more thorough game, but I'm focusing more strictly on a actual recreation of 1947 as close as we can, but showing the differences that a historical simulation will bring. So we'll go with the historical transactions instead of including all the minor leagues. We're also going to use real historical lineups, so rather than editing lineups day to day, this is going to be a simulation through where I'm going to go month by month, check how it was, compare it to what it was historically, and kind of go from there. So let's go to the next step. So what I'm doing is more of, instead of playing the game just to play it, I'm using it more as a simulator here. It definitely has a lot of elements that you can use to play. I mean, it's a great game to play. Like I said, I've dumped countless hours into this. I don't do a whole lot of simulation, but this is just something I wanted to go ahead and give a try and just, show how it compares to reality. Like I said, the movie 42 comes out today, or, well, it's still the 15th where I am, but in a half an hour. If you watch this on YouTube, it'll probably already be out by the time it gets uploaded there. We're going to keep these settings the same, basically. Player development, we're going to disable that because it's just a replay league. We're going to automatically expand leagues, even though that won't apply, because we're really just going to focus on the one season here, and same for expansion drafts. And then we'll just automatically import the financial settings. after each season. It won't really apply because there's only going to be the one season. No fictional pictures. We don't need to do that. I could download a mod which would have all the historical pictures and logos and all of that, but I'm not going to do that in this case. We'll just keep that on demand. Let's do sepia, kind of to give it more of a historical feel. You can change, you know, how you want the photos to be generated, but sepia feels kind of more authentic. What do we want my baseball universe name to be? I was like making up a name. I just don't know what I want it to be this time. I guess it would be fitting if we pick the general manager, even though we're really not going to be managing. We'll just be the coach. So the coach of the 1942 or 1947 Dodgers was Clyde Sookforth. His birthday, I don't know what that is. Let me look that up real quick. May 31st of 1926. Wait, really? I'm sorry. November 30th of 1901. That was his major league debut was in 1926. I was going to say he only would have been 21 years old. That would be ridiculous. So, as I said, November 30th. (1901). Just enter our league name, starting year. We're going to start off as the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And we'll go ahead and start the game. So it's initializing here. Just loading through a few things and we should be good to go. Alright, let's take a look here. We can check out the rosters, the pitching rotation. Vic Lombardi, see there. Jackie Robinson, the leadoff player, playing first base. Rookie year, you see no stats here yet for him. You can actually look through the other players though, and like I said, if you choose to load all the stats, that's why it took a little bit longer, but if you're the type of person who's really into stats and numbers, you can go back through here and you can see all the stats from all the players on your team for every year that they've been in the league. So definitely a stat nerd's dream. This game is just full of stats. Now, as you can tell, the logo is fake. You can upload real logos if you want that people have made and created. I have not done this in this. This is just more of a pure video, if you will, of exactly what it looks like when you play the game. You can upload historical photos for all the players and things like that. I have not done that. You can change the settings so that it always pulls up a picture for a person when you pull it up. A lot of times it'll throw a little portrait in here, but I haven't done that here on the upper left. Alright, so there's a little bit of a news article here talking about, you know, the new manager. He wasn't a new manager in 47, but I picked him because he was the manager of the club, so gives you a little news article there. It's one thing they did improve in Out of the Park Baseball 14 is they did go ahead and they improved some of the news, the way the news works, the articles. They also improved the player creation. A lot of the improvements that they made for this game, to be honest, aren't going to be seen in the historical simulation that we're going to be doing here. Now I've got a whole bunch of different options. You know, we can go to these options and change kind of how the settings are set up. We can set up notes and reminders. Their achievements can show up as well. There's an achievement tab here which will kind of go on as the game goes. You can see your player's history, just kind of going through some of these. You can, you know, kind of when you're scouting for players, you can put them on a short list and view them all really easily. You can compare two players. So if I want to go ahead and look at two of my players, let's say Rex Barney versus Hank Berman. We can compare their ratings overall side by side. This is a very nice feature. I'll be honest, I never really noticed this, at least until just now, because I haven't used it a whole lot. Probably would be a better GM if I did, but nonetheless, here it is. Gives you different comparable players by career. So that's kind of another neat feature. Kind of reminds me of Baseball Reference and how it'll give you kind of a comparison and a player comparison and those types of things. So that's a pretty nice feature there. I'll have to touch on that when I touch on my review. You can look at your staff. Now I don't have coaches here right now, just because it's a historical replay season, but you can turn those on and off if you like. There's a lot of different features. You know, there's a financial settings. There's nothing in here right now because we're not playing with finances on. We're just really doing historical replay. So a lot of this game's, you know, depth and features and, you know, abilities to offer contracts and trade or players and things like that, you really don't have when you set it as strictly as I did, but there's a lot of customization. Now, given that a lot of these options aren't turned on right now because of the type of game I'm playing, I'm just going to go ahead and simulate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate a month at a time, and then we'll just kind of go ahead and we'll look at the results and compare them to what they were historically and kind of see where the players were historically. We're going to focus on Jackie Robinson because, hey, he was the, you know, the star of 42, the movie. You know, it was all about his life being the first African American player in the major leagues and you know, winning the Rookie of the Year in 1947. The Brooklyn Dodgers made it to the World Series in 1947. They lost to the Yankees. The Yankees seem to win the World Series almost every year in, you know, mid-40s to early 60s, it seemed like, or at least through 60. But anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll simulate this here. This will just be one moment. Just going to get part of this out of the way here. We're going to get the first day simulated so it kind of calculates league settings and things like that. It'll kind of speed up the simulation once we get a little bit further in. Alright. So we're going to do a simulation. We'll do it, we could do it in real time, but I'd rather not do the real time simulation's a really neat feature. I showed that off in one of my other videos here. I can link it in the description, but I just want to simulate 1 month. So let's simulate to next month. We're going to simulate all the way through April. We're going to go to May 1st. You see there, that was pretty darn quick. Through May we are 6-5. We'll take a look here. That's only 11 games, so that's not a whole lot to look at here. But Jackie Robinson's moved from the leadoff role to the number 2 spot in the order. He's played all 11 games, 47 at-bats, so a little bit more than 4 at-bats per game. No homers yet, but he's hitting .234 with 4 doubles. Not quite as good as he did historically. Let's see here. Just going to look up some information here real quick. Now, as far as the club did, the 1947 Brooklyn Dodgers were actually 8-3 in April, so they got off to a better start than we have historically. Now, you got to remember that if you finish second in the league in this this era in Major League Baseball, you didn't make the playoffs. You had to finish first. The 1946 Brooklyn Dodgers won 96 games, and they didn't make the postseason. That's pretty crazy, if you ask me. I mean, the idea of making the postseason, it was a far more elite crowd, I guess, if you will. You know, today you could say it's watered down, but it's still probably the most difficult sport to make the playoffs in of any sport, and that's by far. You know, basketball, half the league makes it. Football, it's a little bit less, but you still have, you know, what, 2 wild cards? Baseball has 2 wild cards now, but only with a play-in game, so it's still far more difficult to make the postseason in baseball than really any other sport. But anyway, moving on. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to pull up some information. So actually, historically, Robinson's doing a little bit better than he did in April. In April, through 11 games, he had 7 fewer at-bats. He had 40 at-bats instead of 47. He only had a 225 batting average in April, so he did struggle a bit in April and March. Whereas in this game, he's still struggling, but he's doing all right. The team is 6-5 though, so if we take a look at the oops, wrong place. There's a lot of great little quick icons, and actually, I was mentioning in the newspapers, if you want to kind of get a bunch of the league headlines, there's a nice little tab here where you can kind of see all the big headlines and things like that that occur right along the side there. Alright, so here are the standings. There's only 2 divisions. You know, there's the American League and the National League. And in the National League, the Brooklyn Dodgers are middle of the pack at 6-5. We need to be first if we want to make the postseason, which looks difficult. The Pirates are 12-1, so that is a heck of a start. Let's move on to simulating May, though. Let's see where we get with that. So we'll simulate to next month. Apparently I received a message. Certain messages will interrupt your simulation. So historically on this day, on May 3rd, we traded for Al Gianfrido. He's a bench player. He's only played 1 game. We traded away Hank Berman, who was a relief pitcher with 2 innings pitched, and Kirby Hibbage. Started 29 games the previous season, won 17. That's a pretty big trade. But let's move on to keep going through the month. And I keep getting interrupted. It's May 5th now, and I got interrupted. So let's go seriously to next month. And another message. So another transaction occurred. We sold Howie Schultz. So that's another interesting thing that was very different back in this era, is that players could be bought and sold. You know, it was a lot more like soccer, if you will, in Europe today than it is in baseball today. You can still sell players, you know, trade them for cash considerations, but they're usually very, very small. I think the Brewers sold Will Nieves, a catcher, a couple years ago, and basically they traded him to another team for the cost of his contract. They turned a profit of like $1, and the other team basically just agreed to pay him for the rest of the year. So not really the type of transactions you see in soccer in Europe today. But baseball and sports in general in America are very different. So looks like we've won 6 in a row here. We're not quite through May yet, but that's pretty encouraging. You can see up top here we're 13-7. So let's really try and get through this month without too many more interruptions here. We are now 21-16. So we had a much better month here. We've moved from 4th, right in the middle of the pack, up to 3rd. We're 21-16. We were 6-5 in the month of April. We have been 15-11 in the month of May. If you compare that with what the Dodgers did historically in 47, that actually looks like a better year than they had in May. In May they were 12-14 and were 15-11. So definitely an improvement. Now let's go ahead and take a look at where Jackie Robinson has ended up in terms of his stats. He's still hitting in the tool hole. He's now hitting .280, so he's heated up considerably. In the month of May, historically, Robinson hit .282. So far, we can look at the splits here by month. And he hit .299 in this game in the month of May. So considerably hotter both in the first 2 months, although hitting right about where he ended up for the for the month of April, the month of May was significantly better. So without too much delay, let's go ahead and try the next month. I'm sure we'll get some interruptions here as we go through the month, but we'll see. We got about halfway through and we got another transaction. You can see all these. These are a lot of different news articles that pop up and are generated, but we went ahead and we received Hank Berman back from the Pirates. So we got him back. Cool. Let's go into July. Come on. Simulations go much quicker also, it's worth saying, in some of these historical leagues because the team sizes are far smaller. But it doesn't look like June was a very good month for us. June, historically, the team did pretty well, going 18-11, but our records dropped down to 34-32. We've fallen into 5th place, and as you can see, we're 9.5 games behind the Pirates. It's looking increasingly unlikely that we will make the postseason. The Dodgers in 47, as I said, won 94 games in real life. They made it to the World Series. They lost in the World Series, and that would take quite a bit to finish the season with 96 wins here as of July 1st, when we're only 2 games above 500. Jackie Robinson is slumping a little bit. He's down to... No, he hit 261 in the month of June, and he is hitting 272 overall with 4 home runs. In the month of June, Robinson actually hit 377. He had a phenomenal month of June. 377 with 2 homers. We're at the same exact number of homers as he hit historically at this point. He's got 4 through the season. He had 4 through June in real life. So that's where we're at right now. You know, it's interesting to me as we jump ahead to the next month here. The Brooklyn Dodgers, they were originally actually called the Brooklyn Robins, but the Brooklyn Dodgers making the playoffs in 47 was a pretty big deal in Jackie Robinson's rookie year as the Rookie of the Year. He had a great year, and it was really, you know, he only played for 10 years. He only finished with 1,500 hits. He obviously was a milestone breaker. But his statistics, other than, you know, they were very good statistics, don't get me wrong. I mean, he was definitely, he had the stats of a Hall of Fame-like player, but without a Hall of Fame-length career. And part of that's because he didn't make the majors till he was 28. You know, a lot of the Hall of Fame players start off in their early 20s, so they've got, you know, 7, 8 more years to compile stats. Whereas, you know, he just didn't. He still hit 311 for his career. That's, you know, ridiculously good. And his last 2 years in his career, he only played 105 and 117 games, so missing big chunks of those seasons also impacted what he could do. But it's still really, you know, what's impressive, and I know no one baseball player controls whether their team makes the postseason or not. Baseball is definitely a team sport. But what is impressive to me is how the Dodgers really changed their fortunes. They had made 3 World Series before 1947. They had made one in 1916 as the Brooklyn Robins, made one in 1920 as the Brooklyn Robins, and then another one in 1941 as the Brooklyn Robins. That's 3 playoff appearances between, or 3 World Series appearances between 1903 when the World Series started to 1941. So 41 years and 3 World Series appearances. Remember, there were only 16 teams in the league as well. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. Jackie Robinson wins the Player of the Month award, so we'll take a look at that in a moment. But then, as you go on, when Jackie Robinson joins the team in 1947, his first year as Rookie of the Year, the team goes to the World Series and loses to the New York Yankees. They didn't make the playoffs in 48, but then in 49 again they made it to the World Series and they lost to the Yankees. They had a gap of 2 more years where they didn't make the postseason or the World Series. But in 1952, 1953, they made the World Series again, losing to the Yankees both of those years. Then in 1955, toward the end of Jackie Robinson's career, they made the World Series yet again, this time winning against the New York Yankees. And then in 1956, they made the postseason again for the second time back-to-back in his career, losing this time to the New York Yankees. So while there was only 1 World Series title over his career, which for any player in a sport where it's so difficult to make the playoffs, it's definitely a success, you know, a phenomenal success for any team to make the World Series, over a 10-year period, they made the World Series 6 times. That's Yankees-like. I mean, and I'm not a big Yankees fan, but, in this era, the Yankees were just, they were unbeatable. I mean, the Yankees won in 47, they won in 49, they won in 50, 51, 52, 53. They won in, they were the runner-up in 55. They won in 56. They lost in 57 to the Milwaukee Braves. Then they beat the Milwaukee Braves in 58. They lost in 1960, and then they won in 61 and 62. So, I mean, that's as unfair as baseball may be today with the way the revenue system worked. Back then, I mean, no sports team has that kind of success. Maybe them and the Green Bay Packers around the same time period, late 50s, early 60s, middle 60s. The Packers were probably just as dominant in football. But it's just ridiculous. I mean, the amount of success they had, and then for the Brooklyn Dodgers to be right there alongside throughout the 40s, the late 40s, and through the 50s, all throughout Jackie Robinson's 10-year career, 6 World Series appearances, is definitely not many players can say they made the World Series 6 times, especially over only 10 years. But anyway, I digress. Back looking at Jackie Robinson batting in the 2-hole. He's now up to 7 homers, so he hit 3 homers in the month of July. He is hitting .292, so that means he hit a very solid .331 in the month of July. So that's almost identical to his historical June stats. In June, he hit .377. In July, he hit .257, so his average dropped. Granted, he showed a little bit more power, hitting 4 homers, but kind of back and forth statistical success for Robinson is kind of what we're seeing here, and that kind of mirrors reality. In April, he hit .225, then he hit .282, then he hit .377, then back down to .257 in July, then .309 in August, and then .284 in September and October. So he kind of fluctuated a lot there, back and forth, as many players do. But that kind of mirrors reality. Now, Brooklyn is not going to make the playoffs, unfortunately. We're looking at a 46-53 record. We're 18 games out. We only got 2 months left in the season. So we can keep simulating here, but we're not going to repeat reality here unless we go on some kind of insane run, which it doesn't look like we will. As we get through the month of August into September, we're now at 60 and 71, so we're going to finish below 500 probably. We'll see. Jackie Robinson is hitting .296. He had a very good August as well, hitting .310, 4 more homers. So Robinson historically hit 12 in 47, and in this game so far he's hit 11. We've only got 1 more month. I'm not really meaning to rush through this, but I've been chatting quite a bit, and well, the season doesn't look so good for us. So as we play through here, let's see, it's October. We're now in the playoffs, and we did not make the playoffs, that's for sure. We finished the season in 5th place, 71 and 83, so significantly worse than the historical Dodgers did. They actually went 94. They had 94 wins, and what was that, 80? Sorry. The team in 47 finished the season 94 and 60. They had a 12 and 11 September record, a 19 and 13 August record. I'm kind of going backwards here. Their July was phenomenal. A 25 and 8 July is what got them there. We didn't have anything like that. We can click here and we can kind of see the roster breakdown. See the schedule. There is a place you can see the results for the team. Let's here. The team home screen? Huh. Oh, that's probably because we're in the playoffs already. So I waited a little bit long here, but as we end the season, Jackie Robinson finished the season hitting .294. If we compare that with what he did historically for the year, let's take a look here. Historically, he hit 297, so 294, pretty darn close. 13 homers versus 12 historically, so very close again. 84 RBIs versus only 48, so he had significantly more RBIs than he did in reality. His walks were very close, 67 in the game, 74 in reality. Strikeouts, 37 in the game, 36 in reality. On-base percentage, 368 in game, 383. So there's definitely some variance, but the impressive thing is how some of these stats for some of these players, I mean, look at that, Robinson's stats were uncannily similar in this simulation, can be very similar, and yet the results of the games can be very different. This team, a 71 and 83 team, hardly looks like a team that historically were the runners-up in the World Series. So that's definitely kind of a nice little twist, if you will. But like I said, I've yapped on enough. I just wanted to kind of give you a look at the simulation. I guess we can go through here and simulate the playoffs and kind of see what happened in this versus history. Let's see. We know the Dodgers didn't make the playoffs, but let's see what actually happened here. So the New York Yankees won the World Series 4-2. That's actually pretty close to what happened in reality here. The Dodgers historically lost in 7 games to the Yankees in 47. So, a 6-game versus 7-game series. They played the New York Giants instead of the Brooklyn Dodgers, or not Brooklyn Dodgers, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Brooklyn Dodgers. So the Yankees won the World Series, big shock there. They lost to the New York Giants, or they beat the New York Giants. I'm tripping all over my words tonight. Yeah, so the Yankees won the World Series. I guess in the end they got it right with the historical result here. Let's just take a look while I've still got us on here. The Yankees won 96 games here. In reality, that team won 97, so just a game off of what they really did, and just a game off on the World Series too. So again, like I said, kind of like what we saw when I did the Out of the Park baseball review. The game had a very, very accurate simulation to reality, although the postseason and our team's results did turn out differently. It's still a great game, and definitely something worth checking out. I'm going to link the game in the description here. I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to post a review. I want to get to that as soon as I can. I just got married, just got off my honeymoon, so I've been really busy. I also have been busy with some historical game reviews for the 150th of the Civil War. There's a lot going on, but I'm definitely going to get to a full-fledged review of this game. As you can see here, the playthrough of this game, there's quite a bit to it, and if you're interested in historical simulations, this game has a lot for you. You probably don't see a lot out like this, where you kind of play through it like we have here. You're also going to see more of kind of the free agency, more of the contract negotiations, things like that in the review. But I did want to give kind of the historical taste to people who might be interested in kind of reliving those seasons and kind of simulating through. You probably normally want to see a little bit more interaction with the game, which you can definitely do. I really cut the settings down to the bare minimum of what I would have to manage so I could just get through the season as quick as possible. But anyway, for the moment anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you sticking with me and watching this, and like I said, like, subscribe, whatever. I can't believe I've had as many views on my videos as I had. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy this. If there's anything that you like, shoot me an email at historicalgamer.com. Shoot me a message in my inbox. I'd love to hear what you guys suggest. I'm looking at a couple of games that I've gotten recommendations to or requests from some fans. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, this is the Historical